Alright, how's everybody doing today? Today I just wanted to take a second to go over the software of the LG V30 because I'm going to talk about how I like it in the full review, but I may not go in depth in it, or well, how I like or dislike it in the full review, but I'm not going to take a deep dive into it. That being said, I did want to take the time to do a full software walkthrough. Alright, so out of the box now, let me show you what the software would look like if you first get your LG device, or when you first get your LG device. Alright, you'll have something that looks similar to this, because out of the box, this is what LG wants you to use. So, as you can see, all your apps will be on the different home screens. Now, you can go ahead and make folders out of your apps and organize them and label your folders accordingly, just like you can go ahead, if I press and hold here, you can go ahead and theme the overall launcher, and or you could change some launcher settings here in the home screen adjustments. So you can change your scrolling effect. Alright, you can change your grid sizes. Alright, and you can hide or show the different apps that you want. You can also loop the home screens and or turn on the LG Smart Bulletin. So if I turn this on, you could then configure this to whatever you would like. And then if we go home, if I swipe left, you can see I have it configured to display the LG Music app. Alright, and since I have it on loop, I could just keep swiping one way and it'll loop through all my home pages or home screens. So that's nice. Another thing you could do is, if you dive into settings here, you can configure your quick toggles. If you hit edit here, you can configure all your quick toggles by pressing and holding. And depending on the apps that you install, you can add more. So as you can see there, I could add a bunch more. I could take some away. I could rearrange them. And then when I'm done, I hit the checkbox and everything is exactly the way I want it. And now if we dive a little bit deeper into the settings here, out of the box, you'll have this more paginated tab view that you have to scroll and or swipe through. Now out of the box, when I first got this device, I found this setup to be a little bit more overwhelming and confusing. I'm a bigger fan of the list view, because then I get to go down the list and go into the different sections that I want to mess with here. So I changed it to the list view. And then I also put on a high contrast dark theme, because I like dark colors. Alright, so I would recommend that y'all change it to the list view and then navigate through the settings that you would like to know more about. Then if we dive into the display area here, this is where again you could change the launcher. If you go to the home screen setting here, you could change between the three launcher setups that LG provides. So this is the standard one out the box. You got one with the app drawer. You got the Easy Home, which gives you bigger icons and easier shortcuts. Or if you have a secondary launcher loaded, you can click on it here. Alright. Next, you could do your wallpaper configurations. Then if we scroll through, you could sort your apps there. And then the rest of this stuff we pretty much covered. So you could loop the home screens. You could turn on and off the smart bulletin and configure it how you would like. And then this here adds a quick shortcut to search all your apps just by swiping down. So you can search all your apps. I leave that turned off. Don't really like that too much. And then right here, you could change your fonts. Alright, you could change font sizes. You could download different fonts. Okay. Then you can configure your buttons. This is another thing that I use a lot. Now I took it off because of this video that I wanted to do, but you can rearrange your buttons. So out of the box it comes like this. And then you could add on little quick shortcuts, a little quick notification pull down. Like so. Little screenshot shortcut, so I can snap a screenshot just by pushing that button and configure the screenshot. And then this gives you access to your Q-Slide apps. Okay, but you can't really fit anything else on the screen. Now if I put the Q-Slide apps on, it bumps off the other one. So you can only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buttons down here. So you have to choose which one you want. I'm not a big fan of the Q-Slide apps, but I do like the quick screenshots. But I don't have the quick screenshots on because I have something else that I could use in its place. We're going to talk about that in a little bit here. So that's how you can configure your buttons. Now, if you don't have a theme installed, then you can custom match your button shortcut area to anything that you would like. But seeing as I have a theme installed, it doesn't let me do that. Then right here, the LG V30 does have an always on display, and it does offer some customization, so you could change clock styles and what different things display on there. You could add a custom image. Then you could add music player controls. You can add custom times to when to start and stop the always on display. You can brighten the always on display, but that burns up more battery, as does using it burns up more battery as well. So y'all play around with it and you set it up how you would like. Okay, and as we scroll through here, we have app scaling. So you can configure each individual app to your liking to take up as much of the screen as you would like. So prime example here, if we just pick an app, like let's go YouTube Studio here, I can configure it to run in its original configuration, 16:9 compatibility, 16.7:9, 18:9. Okay, so y'all play around with it. Now, depending on how the configuration works, it may add more for a particular app, or it may mess up a particular app. I just tend to leave it on original. Okay, so you can do that in app scaling there. Then next, we have your display sizes. So you can configure how much shows on the display. So you can make the icons bigger, which means you can read the text better, but you won't be able to have as much display on one page. Or you can shrink the icons and fit a lot more on the display, stretch it out so you can fit more on the display. I tend to do that. I like to leave it to where I can fit as much on the display as possible. Alright, then here you can control the different resolutions. Now, one thing that I like about LG devices is out of the box, they come cranked all the way up. So you can see the resolution for the LG device is 2880 by 1440p. So this is a Quad HD display or 2K display. Now you can configure it down to 1080p. So 2160 by 1080p. And based on what you configure it to, it does save a little bit of battery life. And you can go all the way down to 720p, which is 1440 by 720p. Now for review purposes, I leave it cranked all the way up. But when I do my follow-up video, I will play around with this and advise y'all as to what setting I feel is best to leave it on. But that's that there. Again, you play around with that. You choose what works best for you. And then we have some screen settings here. So we got normal. We got best for movies, best for photos, best for web browsing. And you could do a custom setting here, which then you can go in and configure. So you can configure how warm the display looks, how cool the display looks, and a custom color setup here. I tend to just leave it. I don't want to get too in depth into that stuff. I tend to just leave it as to what it's on. Then this is an HDR10 compliant display, so you could turn on the HDR effects for videos. So I leave that on. And we do have a blue light filter, which LG has renamed into Comfort View. So you can control how intense it is. You can schedule when it goes on and turns off. You can also configure the display to go full grayscale if you would like. So again, that's up to you. You play around with it and you decide what's best. Alright. Now we do have auto brightness. I tend to leave auto brightness off because I want full control over the brightness of my device. Now typically I leave it on 40% brightness when I'm indoors and about 80% brightness or better when I go outdoors. So we're indoors right now, so it's at 40%. And I gotta say, I do like the fact that LG is one of the only manufacturers that gives you the true display brightness percentage. Everybody else just gives you the scroll slider, but they don't actually tell you what percentage you're on. And you got screen timeout, which is self-explanatory. Screensaver, self-explanatory. Then we got mini view here, which is a custom gesture to shrink the display. Now I couldn't really get this to work. You're supposed to be able to slide across the buttons to shrink the display, but I couldn't really get mine to work. But that might just be my particular unit. Then we have VR content controls and a few other settings here. So let's go into lock screen and security. Let's check that out. So let me back up real quick. So in here in lock screen and security, you can check a few things without going into about device. So you can see Play Store protection is turned on. You got Find My Device controls, which is really good to have if you lose your device. And we can also do security patch checkups here. So you can see we are on the March 1st security patch 2019. So it's not the latest and the greatest, but it's good to see. Then we have all other types of biometric controls. So we got, you can set up your fingerprints. You can set up your face recognition, which also has a nice little raise to wake feature, which is really nice. You can also do voice recognition with your own custom voice phrase. Alright. And we do have a secure space where you can lock down gallery photos and memos and other things of that nature. And then we have your standard screen pinning and other regular security settings here. So good stuff when we talk about that. Now, next thing I want to talk about here, let's back up a little bit, is let's go into this next setting here, which is your floating bar. Now this is your quick little side toggle here. If I tap this, okay, so this is one of the reasons why I don't have the screenshot on my my on-screen buttons, because I have the different type of screenshots you could do configured in here with your floating bar, which I can move around and hide and add different stuff to as I see fit. So you can add all different types of shortcuts, so on and so forth, music controls. Now I just use this primarily for the screenshot functions, but again, y'all play around with it and you do what you would like. Alright, now moving on here, let's move a little bit further down the list here. Going here to our more extensions. So we have a smart cleaning area here, which will analyze your device and let you clean it out. Okay. Also, you do have the ability, if I go home here, just want to show you real quick, you can add a custom widget to optimize your device as fast as possible. So that is there. You can add that in your widget settings by pressing and holding. Alright, and just go to the widgets. You can add that there. So I wanted to show y'all that. Let's jump back into it. Then you have your gaming mode here, which you can set up. Now, it's on, but I don't really use it. Then we have smart settings. So, based on your location, you can have your device do specific functions. That's really nice. Alright, we have our shortcut keys. So, LG is kind of non-traditional in this area. Now, traditionally, you double tap the power button to launch into the camera or do other types of gestures. Well, LG doesn't really have that feature baked in, but they do have it as to where double pressing the volume buttons from different lock states does do different gestures. So you could do a quick double press of the volume down to launch into the camera, quick double press of the volume up launches into quick memo, so on and so forth. Alright, now I actually used the camera launching feature, so I'll leave this turned on. Alright, and then we do have our double tap to wake and sleep. We do have our knock knock code to get into the device, so on and so forth. Okay, so good stuff there. Alright, and that about does it. That's pretty much all the core features that I wanted to go over here on the LG software. Everything else is self-explanatory. Oh, one other thing that I want to touch on is in accessibility here. So a neat thing about accessibility is that you can configure the camera flash to flash when you have different notifications here and do other things. So if you go into, what was it here, I'm trying to remember, visual assistance, okay, you can set up the camera flash to flash when you get different notifications. I'm trying to remember which setting it was in. It was in one of these. Yeah, here it is. Flash when incoming calls, messages, or alerts or alarms. So that's really, really nice. Just wanted to point that out. Good stuff there. And yeah, that's pretty much all the core features of the LG software that I use and that I want to cover. Now there is a little bit more, but that pretty much covers it. Now let's go over how I feel about the LG software in general. Okay? Now, I have to say LG software is not bad, but in my opinion, they have a lot of improving to do here because certain things in the LG software, at least when I first got the device, it had me going, why did LG set it up that way? Like, y'all know I'm a big fan of stock Android, and one of the things that I like about stock Android is that the fluidity that it provides. You know, the way the stock launcher is set up, you can just swipe up and you can keep swiping to go through your apps, so on and so forth. Well, LG doesn't let you do that because if you enable the app drawer, then you have the traditional app drawer icon, and if you go in here, you know, you would probably be expecting a swipe up gets you into the next pages. No, well, it's a left and a right swipe. So I kind of didn't like that out of the box. It was a little confusing because of what I was already previously used to. So that did take some adjusting. Okay. And then another thing is that the LG software doesn't give you a quick setting to pull down the notification shade without adding this button to your on-screen keys. So that was a little bit of an adjustment because with my stock Android devices, I actually have it set up to where I could just do a quick pull down from anywhere to get into my notification shade, and I don't have to take necessary time and add necessary buttons. to do that. So kind of didn't like that as well. But all in all, I have to say that the LG software is not bad, but I do feel that they need to go back to the drawing board, start with a stock base, and then they need to take their software team and go, let's just take out the features that we do well, and everything else I would say that you leave it alone. So go back to the drawing board, LG, start with a stock base, and just take out some of the stuff that you do well. Like the shrink screen gesture, you guys do that extremely well, okay? The on-screen button reconfiguration, you guys do that extremely well. This app drawer configuration, nah, it's a no-go. Go back to the stock, just give us the quick swipe up, alright? That's cool, okay? So yeah, that's how I feel about the LG software in general. I know this was kind of a longer video, but if you guys and gals enjoyed the video and or found it helpful in any way, shape, form, or fashion, please help your boy out and give the video a thumbs up. That really does help me out. You don't know how much. And I will see you guys and gals in the full review, which is coming soon. Alright, have a good one, everybody. Peace.